All right, we're getting a daily double here today. I don't know anybody that paid attention. You can see things to do on my pit board here. I need to order some fans. I've got two hashtag wrench on videos that I was wanting to make this week, and so I'm getting to the second one today. And if anybody needs to help me remember, I need to get some Q-tips because I ran out in my drawer over here. I was going to clean something out and ran out, and I need to remember. Anyway, back to the wrenching. Let's talk about balance. If you've watched any of these videos, you know I like to be pretty particular. I like to be as careful as possible. I don't think you can be too careful on things. I have been accused of overthinking things, and I appreciate those comments from my friends because they keep me honest and keep me sane. But it hasn't deterred me from at least trying to find, if nothing else, just for a mental exercise, the most accurate and most precise way of doing some of these things, whether it's setting ride height or I don't know, building diffs, getting the tweak right, setting camber, all that kind of stuff. Precision is paramount when it comes to racing these cars, and especially 12 scales. I haven't done a video on a 12 scale in a while, but one of the things that's really important is balance. So when I say balance, lots of you start to think about, I don't know, these things. They're great. They're awesome. This is what I'm going to use today. What you probably don't think of is, take a tour of my RC room here. This is my pit back. Is a droop tool like this. I'm going to use my droop gauge today, and you're going to be like, what is he doing? Alright, so most modern cars, let's see how well we can do this. Most modern cars have two holes. A little dimple at the front, right there, yeah. And a dimple up the back. This is a T417 aluminum flex chassis. Every chassis I've seen from X-Ray, I don't know, in the last 10 years has had these. I have seen, I think it was an Associated car, or maybe it was a Reflex shock tower or something, that back here had a dimple, and up there on the shock tower had a notch that you could put like string or floss or something, and you would run the string through the shock towers, and you could balance it that way. I've never tried it. I've heard credible people tell me it works, and I'm going to trust them, but that's not what we're doing today. So I'm going to set my car on these two balance posts. Now, before I started, I did make a point to check that my table was level. And I don't know how much that matters, but it seemed like it would matter. So if you can tell there, I've got a bubble gauge, a bubble level, and my table is as flat as... Oh, my flashlight died. Banging on it always fixes it. I guess it needs batteries. 5 minutes ago it was working. Anyway, table's level. That's the main idea. You're doing this at an asphalt race or something. You might have to deal with some questionable surfaces, but I'm doing it on a flat glass level surface. And stick that guy on there. Boom. And let's get the back one on there. Okay, so I just set it on there. You can see the car tipped over to this side. I'm going to make a couple of points here that I realized myself just recently doing this, and I hope... I should have unplugged that fan so this wasn't so loud. I probably will just not plug it in, but it's important to get your wires running, get the car as ready to run as possible. I found that even the wires being plugged in like this over on this side and then being unplugged, and sometimes I scoot them over to that side, can make a difference. The wires weigh a gram, 3 grams, 4 grams, maybe with the bolts and everything, and having 4 grams on this side versus 4 grams on this side can make a difference in the balance. Another thing is getting the tires the right way. And the best that I understand it looks to me like there's more weight to the left side when the wheels are turned to the right because the steering arm moves over and the bell crank moves over, and there's some stuff moved over this way. So I try to center my steering, get the battery in centered or positioned where I want it, and then plug these wires in. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm leaving this wire out, and I'm just going to kind of, what I guess I could do just to get it close is maybe just tape it over here so that it's at least on the right side. Pretty close. That'll work for now. I don't know. But you can see that it flops over to either side. And I used to get down here like this, and I would get it to balance, and you can get it to balance in the center. That does not mean that the car is balanced. No, it looks like it. I mean, I guess in a sense it is balanced, but it's not as balanced as it could be. And so what I used to do is I would like sit here and get down on my hands and knees, and I was touching this ever so slightly, and I would eyeball the angle that the back of the chassis would just barely sit in this direction, and then I would come back this way, and I was tapping, and then I would figure out that angle, and I was, just eyeballing it. Pretty good. I don't even know if I have to go any farther, but just for the sake of knowing how to do it better, I thought, well, what if I had some kind of a go, no-go gauge? And I was looking around, I had a bunch of stuff. I have some CRC, like, camber gauges for my 12 scale. I've got some header card. I have some carbon fiber that's a little thinner. But what seemed to come out right was 8 millimeters, and I remembered that my droop gauge is 8 millimeters. So I slide my droop gauge underneath, and I let the car sit on the droop gauge like that. And then I will slide this out, and that direction, the car falls to that side. So come to the other side and slide it under. Now, you may be disappointed that I've already balanced this. I already checked it, and it didn't need to be balanced. So maybe next time I see somebody with a problem, we'll go through fixing it. I know I've already talked about balance with weight in one of my other wrench-on videos, but this is I guess this is balance 2.0. Anyway, pull this out, and it falls to that side. Depending on tire size, depending on how wide, let's see if this makes sense, how wide you have your battery out this way, how heavy the motor is, how far out your electronics are. This is my modified car, so you can tell there's, I don't know if you can see it, but I don't have any weight on the motor side. It's compared to like the stock spec Speedo, this XR10 Pro is heavier. The motors are heavier. This particular servo, this is a Gotex servo. Probably not a brand you've heard of, but I've had a lot of success with them. But it's 4 or 5 grams heavier than other servos. So my car is kind of heavy on either side. That battery is about 300 grams, 303. But depending on the weight, whether it's more centralized or not, you'll either get the car to sit and then not move when you pull this out, or in this case, you'll set it on either side and pull it out, and it falls both ways. Now, if you really want to get crazy, you can go get some, here's some stickers I have just laying around. I can put it on there. Obviously you can't go too much higher because the height of those pins is only so tall. If I pull that out with the extra thickness, it falls. And you could get creative and get a little piece of Lexan or, get whatever. I am being careful to use the side without the holes in it just to get a consistent read, but if I put it on with that, I'm kind of just experimenting here. I don't know what's going to happen. It's falling both ways. I'll tell you that I went as careful as I could both directions, up and down, and eventually you get to a point where it either is going to stay evenly on both sides without falling on either side, or I had one particular car of mine where I went all the way up and it just stayed balanced no matter what. So if it stays balanced, you can keep trying to go thinner. I had a hard time finding something 7.5 or 7.8 or 6.8 millimeters. But, if you're a crafty machinist or you like playing around with thicknesses of paper and stuff, you can stack stuff together, get some coins, glue them together, whatever. Oh, that's a good idea. I wonder how many pennies it takes to make 7.8 millimeters. Anyway, you can get it stacked to the right point and get it just right. I'm sure it's different on different chassis with different tires. Obviously, droop makes a difference, how far down these tires are hanging. But if you play around with it, I'm sure you can find a point where you can get your car really balanced. And I found that I was able to just barely move the weights on my cars, left and right, even adding 1 or 2 grams out here on the side, kind of just hanging out over here. And very precisely was able to balance the car, and it was repeatable. Now, I did have somebody mention, what about using setup wheels? Something like this, some setup wheels. And that works too. Actually, the difference in weights of the tires can vary by, maybe up to 1 gram per tire. And if you think about it, they are exerting the most leverage in terms of left and right position because they're way out at the edges. So, 1 gram out here is more like maybe a couple grams halfway in. Let's see, I think I've written the weights on here. Yeah, my left tire is 32.85 grams, or at least it was when it was new. This right rear tire is 32.89 grams. Um, I I think I found, well, for one, a lot of times I like to measure stuff the way it is going to be raced on the car. So if I'm going to go practice with this car, I'm not going to go rebalance it when I put different tires on, but you're going to race with tires that are not perfectly the same. So you could use the setup wheels. They're definitely going to be more round and more even in weight. I didn't find that it made a difference, is really what I concluded. Um, Whenever I race, I'm now measuring the weights of my tires, so I balanced my car with the way that I position the tires on my car with, what did I say? I put the heavier ones on the, I've been driving on a clockwise track lately, so I put the heavier ones on the inside and the lighter ones on the outside. And I'm just going to balance my car like that because I'm always going to be putting those wheels on the inside, and I figured that's better. But with the tolerances we're talking about, tenths, hundredths of a gram, I don't believe that it really makes a difference. It was just for the sake of doing it that way. If you know better, please tell me. I'd love to know. Anyway, once again, Wrench On is brought to you by RC America, Hobbying, Avid, Protoform, Speed Zone, X-Ray, and Hootie. And I got to apologize in person. I probably got to call this guy up. But Steve Dunn, this was a prototype board that's underneath here, and I just realized the other day, I'm like, what the heck? Where's my Pro 1 on there? Steve makes some great 12-scale tires for me, and I don't want to leave him out, so I'm definitely going to be making a point when I get my new pit board. It's all on you, Toasty. You gotta fix this for us. Anyway, thanks to my sponsors. Thanks to y'all for watching, and let me know what you think. Wrench On.